welcome. You're watching Editor's Take. I'm Sakshi Batra, and with me is my colleague Gaurav Chaudhary. He's the Deputy Executive Editor of Moneycontrol, and we are going to be talking about the Moneycontrol Manifesto on Modinomics 2.0, which is what we at Moneycontrol really believe is going to be finally making to the budget document of 2020. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for joining in. Well, there are heightened expectations around the budget and what kind of policy impetus it could actually bring to, step up the faltering economy. So let me begin by asking you, we as individuals, what can we expect from budget 2020, you and me as salaried class, and is there likely to be something around or some changes around the taxation front?
Absolutely, and with the finance minister actually announcing a corporate income tax rate cut in the middle of the financial year, there is now very great big expectations are riding on this budget that the finance minister is actually going to announce similar tax changes, rejig of slabs and rates for individuals and the salaried class. Clearly, the focus is on how the budget is going to actually benefit in just vast consuming middle class.
Yes.
And that can come about only if one of the biggest ways of doing that is to give more money in the hands of the salaried class through tax breaks. India's direct tax reforms, particularly on the individual income tax side, is clearly due for an overhaul, and there cannot be a better occasion than this budget to actually announce that overhaul, give more, tidy up India's individual income tax system, bring in probably a new code, rejig the tax slabs and rates with fewer exemptions, and give more money in the hands of people. One, it will bring in a new code which is contemporary and modern, and two, it will give more money in the pockets of people, a large part of which they are expected to spend, and even as they save a bit, which is going to act as a big booster shot for this faltering economy.
All right. Now, last few budgets, especially the interim budget and the July budget that we saw, that was focused around farmers, around rural economy. But despite the steps that the government has taken within the budget and without the budget also to, pump prime this rural economy, not much has really changed on the ground. What kind of expectations do you have on this front from budget 2020?
So no finance minister in India can actually present a budget by ignoring the rural economy, and the village economy clearly is a big part of the big piece of the Indian economy. That is something that cannot be ignored. 60% of India's population is actually dependent on farms or in rural areas, although agriculture contributes only about 17% to the overall GDP. But that said, the rural economy accounting for about 60% of people, it is something that the finance minister cannot ignore. And as most budgets, this budget is also going to have a significant portion of its being concentrated or focused on the rural economy. I expect a lot of changes to come about in the way that rural non-farm income will grow.
Okay.
Say, for instance, there could be changes in warehousing, there could be changes in reducing rural wastage, there could be changes in improving supply chain management, there could be changes essentially to raise farm income to ensure that the price that people pay in urban areas is equivalent to the incomes that the farmers get for their produce, and basically try and close the gap because of inefficient intermediation that has crept into the food supply chain system. So clearly, one part of the budget is going to focus on the farm sector, that is agriculture, and another part of the budget, a significant part of the budget, is also going to concentrate on the non-farm piece of the rural economy, which is essentially going to be concentrated on taking people off farms and bringing them to urban areas, or essentially trying to raise their income levels, which is going to boost rural wages as well, because if fewer people are working on the same farms, that is going to create additional demand for rural labor, and that is going to push up wages, which is going to push up demand and prices and prices for vegetable or rural produce that are sold in village mandis, which eventually is going to raise farm income.
Absolutely. Now, apart from this, Gaurav, let me ask you about a very important sector, and that is the infrastructure and the real estate sector. Will these sectors get a big pie from the budget allocation in 2020?
It has to. I don't think the revival of the Indian economy can take place without the real estate sector and the infrastructure sector. That is the construction activity taking place in building of roads, ports and highways. And one of the reasons why the Indian economy hasn't done very well in recent quarters is because of sluggish activity in these two sectors, particularly real estate. Property prices are down, and property prices are down not because there is there is less demand, but because there is an oversupply, and there is no activity, there is no construction activity that is taking place the real estate sector and the construction sector
Yeah.
actually absorbs the largest number of unskilled labor. And if these people, if these two sectors were to revive and start absorbing and engaging more and more unskilled and semi-skilled labor,
Yeah.
that pushes up consumption because it gives more money in the hands of this class of laborers. In any case, they had been working on farms because there were fewer opportunities in this kind of projects. When this project starts taking off, that will have a strong multiplier effect across the broader economy.
All right. And in the end, there's one thing that the Modi government, both 1 and 2.0, have been receiving flack for, and that is for not being able to create as many jobs and opportunities for the young people of India. Now, there's a huge clamor on social media as well, saying that we do not need another budget speech or a fancy speech. We just need jobs. Do you think there will finally be in this budget some announcements to actually create more jobs in this country?
Absolutely. And the large part of jobs are going to be created if the government does a lot of heavy lifting and front loads construction activity of those projects which the government itself finances. That is going to create additional jobs, particularly every kilometer of road actually creates a large number of direct and indirect jobs. And that is where the activity should actually focus on. And I expect a lot of budget focus will also be on these kind of sectors. But also please remember the lifeblood of the Indian manufacturing sector is actually the micro, medium and micro, small and medium enterprises, which is called the MSME sector.
Yeah.
If the Indian manufacturing were to revive, in Indian industry were actually catch on pace and accelerate and canter on to a high growth trajectory, it will have to be led by the MSME sector. So MSME is going to be big. I expect MSME is going to be a big focus area because one, it has the potential to create income, and two, it has the potential to create jobs. Both of these things which the government is trying to achieve in any case.
All right. Thanks a lot then, Gaurav, for sharing all these insights. Well, these are the big 4 pillars around which Moneycontrol Manifesto really believes Union Budget 2020 will be revolving around. The countdown has begun. It's just 10 days away from the 1st of February when the final announcements will be made and the budget will be presented to us. Many thanks for joining us in this edition of Editor's Take, and do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com for more news and updates. Thanks for watching.